Hi, this is Craig, the natural medic. And it's been a little while since I've done a standalone podcast, so I figured I needed to do an update for you. I am currently in Lead. It looks like lead if you looked at it on the map, but it's actually pronounced Lead, South Dakota. Working on a project up here as a remote paramedic, travel paramedic if you prefer. But wanted to give you a short update on the current status of the podcast, the YouTube channel, etc., and some things to expect in the future. I do appreciate you listening, and I do appreciate your attention and all that kind of stuff, and supporting the show. If you would like to offer any kind of monetary support for the show, I produce the show, am the primary, star, for lack of a better term, of the show. I edit the show, and then I post that to Buzzsprout for the audio version for people to take a gander at. And hopefully they can get some value out of it. And it takes some time. I enjoy doing it, but there are some links on support the show. And if you want to do that, that's lovely. And I would love that, but not necessary. I'm happy to offer this to you with no cost to you, just to get some information out. Anyways, I'm recording this on February the 4th, 2024, from this really strange closet. I wish I could show you this closet. The house that I'm staying in, I'm renting part of the house. It's an old 1902 miner's house. Is when it was made. This town here, Lead, was the home of the Homestake mine, which was one of the richest gold mines. I'm not sure about in the world, but definitely in the United States, and operated for a long time, over 100 years, and produced millions of dollars, if not possibly billions, worth of gold. And now it's turning into a science lab, and I'm helping to work on that project as a medic, one of the medics on site. We have several medics that are working there. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes of the Natural Medic Adventures. The Natural Medic Adventures, I created it almost 3 years ago. I had two separate deals going, a YouTube channel and a podcast, audio podcast I added after the fact. I was creating separate tracks or separate information, separate content for both of them, and it became too overwhelming. But I'm using a wonderful, I'll give a shout out to Descript. I pay for their service. It's relatively inexpensive for a year's worth of it. And it's a cloud-based service. It allows me to edit my audio projects, my video projects, and coming soon, which I'll talk about a little bit later, it allows me to do remote recordings of people if I'm going to interview them, like in a podcast type format. I want to get back to that again, like I said, in just a little bit. But I'm inside of this closet because hopefully the acoustics are good and you can hear me pretty well. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in South Dakota. It's been a strange weather pattern. Christmas night, it snowed like somewhere between 12 and 18 inches, like in a 24-hour period, which was pretty crazy. I've never really lived in a place that had such a high snowfall. I have visited places like that, but I've never lived in those places. And I got stuck twice in my truck. I have a four-wheel drive GMC Canyon that generally does pretty good in the snow and the ice, and it depends on the operator, right? Got stuck, so I had some adventures there. I've done some snowshoeing. Definitely check out the YouTube channel. I have some more things that didn't carry over to the audio for whatever reason. It didn't post successfully to Buzzsprout, so the audio version is not there. But if you go to my YouTube channel, which is the same name, The Natural Medic Adventures, you can definitely see some adventures that I've done while I've been here. I'm working on some. I just went out last weekend to almost all of the national park sites within I'd say about 100 square miles, or 100-mile radius. Lead, if you don't know, is located in the Black Hills of South Dakota, which is in the western part of the state, the southwestern part of the state. Lead is what's considered the northern hills. The hills are divided in half, the northern and the southern hills. It's not too terribly far to go to Wyoming. I did go to Wyoming to Devil's Tower about a week ago. Yeah, almost exactly a week ago from today. And hiked a trail I had not hiked before. That's coming up on the channel soon, talking about that experience. I'll try to do another when I go back. I'm going back to Devil's Tower again this next weekend. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite national parks. I know it's called a national monument, but the National Park Service is who administers it. I love that place. It's not very big, but that monolith of that rock is so incredibly amazing. It's almost just when I'm there, and I've been there like 3 times, 2 times in the last 6 months. When I was on my rotation from my other project I was working on. I had a week off. They call it a rotation, and got to go to some sites. And Devil's Tower was like the last site that I visited, and really and truly, it was probably the most. They were all interesting, but it was the most interesting in my opinion, and will always hold a special place in my heart. If you've never been out to Devil's Tower, it's in northeastern Wyoming. I guess the closest airports, if you ever wanted to come visit by plane, then rent a car would be maybe possibly Gillette, Wyoming. It's about an hour and 20 minutes probably from Gillette. And it's about 2 hours and change from Rapid City, South Dakota. Rapid City is the regional large city for the Black Hills area. It's on the east side of the Black Hills. I haven't really been there very much. I've been staying here in Lead. The job is here in Lead. Can't tell you much about Rapid City other than they have a pretty decent airport. Pretty easy to get in and out of. And security going through it, as entering as a passenger, took me about 15 minutes. The 2 times I've flown out of it. Or was it 1 time? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I want to tell you about my friend Mark, who's been on the channel before. He lives in the Dallas area. He's actually from Waco. And we've done several hikes on Lake Texoma area of Texas on the Cross Timbers Trail, which is a really nice backpacking trail. Not too far. It's about 90 minutes due north of Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. That's like right in the center of the Metroplex. Great trail. It's probably the most remote trail, I would say, and longest also in the Dallas-Fort Worth, North Texas area, because it's right on the border with Oklahoma. It's on the Texas side. Anyway, but he's been on my show a couple of times. We've recorded when we've been backpacking together. He's recorded some stuff with me. But he's going to come on sometime, I'm hoping this month, and talk about better ways to sleep. Tips and tricks you can do to get better sleep in the outdoors. Neither one of us are hammock campers, and I have nothing against hammock camping. I've tried it, but I had let's say, how do we say this? I had improper equipment, let's put it that way. And unfortunately, it didn't go like I wanted it to go. But I'm willing to try it again sometime in the future when I have the right equipment. Just FYI, don't buy a random hammock setup from Amazon and expect it to work for you, especially if you're 6'2" and 200 and something pounds like I am. If you're a smaller person, it probably would work out semi okay for you, but for a taller person like myself, probably not. But anyway, I hope to have him on. I have another guy that I kind of know. What is his name? I'm trying to think of his name. Crow. Not sure what his first name is offhand, but I have asked him to come on and talk about some adventures that he's had in Wyoming and other places. He's becoming a big name in the hiking community. So I hope to have him on sometime soon. A friend of mine, Jill, who is a physical therapist in the Dallas area. Hope to have her on. She's had some issues with her doggo. He's been under the weather, and she's been nursing him back to health. So I hope to get her on soon. She's going to talk about some injury prevention and what to do if you actually do get injured on the trail. I think that'll be helpful to a lot of people. That's upcoming on the podcast. They have told me, but I am not completely sure at this point, that I will be leaving South Dakota. I was going to be leaving, I thought, this month, but we have a new person starting because the other person at night left. Yep, I'm working the night shift, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. But it gives me lots of opportunities to work on my videos and podcasts and stuff like that. So I've been taking advantage of that. And also to keep up with some continuing education and other things that I have to do, because generally at night I don't see any patients. Most of the people are underground and I don't have to worry about them. And that's a good thing. But the deal is, I would say probably late February, early March, I'll probably be moving on to another project. Still with the same company, but we have projects all over the United States with different companies where we provide remote or travel paramedic coverage. Basically provide EMS / urgent care kind of assistance at sites. So they have an on-site medic in case somebody gets hurt or have to do a drug screen or something like that, where they're available for that. I have to go where the job wants me. And I've heard through the grapevine, I wouldn't hold it 100% a candle to this, but I've heard through the grapevine that they may want to send me to either Florida or Louisiana to work at a solar farm, which will be a new experience. The project I was working at in Laramie, Wyoming, or right outside Laramie, Wyoming, which was my first project with the company, was a wind site, and they were building foundations when I was there. They didn't have any towers up yet, but they were building foundations and roads and that kind of stuff to access the site, etc. And a solar farm would be totally different. Here, I can't really talk about what they do here because I really don't know, but they're doing some kind of underground science facility construction here in Lead, and that's pretty fascinating. If you're ever in Lead, they do have a visitor center that tells you all about what they're doing. It's beyond my understanding. I'm not a physicist. I'm not that kind of scientist. I would say I'm a scientist because my bachelor's degree is in forestry, so I know a lot about forests, and I know a lot about the recreation side of things. And I also know I've been a paramedic. Officially this year, I would be a paramedic for 10 years and EMS for 11 years, give or take. So I know a lot about those subjects, but as far as physics and the universe and stuff like that, I don't know a whole heck of a lot. But anyway, that's a summary of what's coming down the pipe for the next, I would say, 3 to 4 months here on the Natural Medic Adventures. If you're not subscribed to me on the YouTube channel, I recommend you do that as well. There should be a link in the description of this podcast where you can check that out if you haven't checked that out already. Would love for you to subscribe over there. Lots of videos over there. Some are not on the audio version of the podcast, so you can get some different content over there. And it's all free. Again, if you want to support, there's places to support. Thanks so much, though, for your listener support. Just listening to the show. I appreciate you being out there and listening and all that good stuff. And I hope you have a happy February and the rest of 2024. Until next time, I'll see you out on the trail.